Let us turn to the left's repulsive response to Monday's shooting at the Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee, because this was a Christian school targeted by a transgender killer. Thoughtful, heartfelt remarks from Democrats and the media mob, they have been few and they have been far between. Some are actually mocking the victims. Take a look at your screen. Now, the now former press secretary for Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs posted that tweet after the shooting with the caption, quote, "Us when we see transphobes." Okay. She has now since resigned in disgrace, but has offered no apology. Now, sadly, the vitriol didn't stop there. One awful progressive talk show host, quote, joking about the victims not praying enough. That's supposed to be funny? I thought attacking one's personal religious beliefs was not allowed in the leftist woke world we live in. Now, meanwhile, a trans activist from Harvard, a law implying that the victims got what was coming to them because of Tennessee's laws against so-called gender-affirming care and drag shows. NBC News, they touted the true victims from Monday night's shooting, quote, Tennessee's trans community, who are now fearing for their lives amid a focus on the Nashville shooter's gender identity. Now, predictably, other Democrats, they're using this as a political opportunity to ban guns, blame Republicans, very predictable. Far-left teachers union president Randi Weingarten calling on the federal government to confiscate guns like Australia, New Zealand. Maybe, Randy, if you're watching, maybe why don't you focus on the disaster that you helped create, that is our educational system, in large part. It is failing because of the unholy political alliance that you have with the teachers' unions and the Democratic Party. And meanwhile, Joe Biden, he doesn't seem to care about the shooting at all. Now, watch this. This should anger every single American, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, doesn't matter. He's beginning his speech Monday. He's coming out to talk about the shooting. We have 6 dead people. 3 of them are 9 years old. Here's your president.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. You think I'm kidding? I'm not.
I came down for the ice cream, telling jokes. Now, following the remarks, Biden continued to joke and laugh when asked about the shooting. Take a look.
I believe that Christians were targeted in a Nashville school shooting. Do you believe that Christians were targeted?
I have no idea.
Josh Hawley believes they were. What do you say to that?
Well, I probably don't then.
Probably don't.
No, I'm joking. No, I have no idea.
I'm joking, for real. I'm joking. Come on, man. Anyway, 6 people, innocent people, including 3 9-year-old kids murdered at this Christian school, targeted by a transgender killer. And that is what? That's his response? Joke time? Ice cream time? Seriously? Look, if Democrats can't use a shooting for political gain, they don't really seem to care about shootings. Let me give you an example. You know, Exhibit A is their deafening silence on the daily violence in Chicago and other big cities all across the country. Our friend Gianno Caldwell, my colleague, he lost his little brother in Chicago that was innocently, in the street, murdered, gunned down. That shouldn't be happening, but we don't hear about the names of people killed in Chicago or other big cities or other small towns, in large part caused by, defund, dismantle, no bail laws. And by the way, compassion seems to disappear and their behavior becomes appalling. In fact, a so-called Trans Day of Vengeance will continue as planned on Friday in our nation's capital. This is hosted by the Trans Radical Activist Network, whatever that is. The demonstration will continue for 3 days. Now, just imagine if this was a MAGA-related group planning a MAGA Day of Vengeance after a hypothetical MAGA-related shooting. How do you think Democrats, how do you think the media mob, how do you think the FBI, politicized, would treat that event? And what do you think of Joe Biden? What do you think he'd have to say then? Do you think any of these politicians that are constantly attacking conservatives, Republicans, you think any of them are going to say anything about this day that's going to take place, on Friday? I doubt it. Anyway, Kamala Harris may want to tweet out a link to raise money for the group. And right now, by the way, amid all the political posturing, Democrats, they are not even able to work on real solutions to school shootings. There are solutions. Think about this. Liberal lawmakers, they just authorized funding, for 87,000 new IRS agents? But for just a little bit more money, Democrats could have hired enough armed professionals to guard every single public school in the country. That amounts to 98,000 schools. I think our kids deserve the same security as those elected politicians. We pay for their security, and those arrogant, hypocritical Hollywood liberals that are rich and can hire their own armed guards. Now, think about that. Democrats they're now so deep into their far left-wing ideology that they're unable to deliver any real solutions to real problems. And by the way, both parties could get behind that. Take a look at the crisis at our border. Record numbers of illegal immigrants are now coming across. Children's being trafficked and raped in large numbers. Our own Sarah Carter's been down there time after time after time reporting on this. Fentanyl, heroin, meth, cocaine, lethal drugs pouring across that border, killing more Americans than ever before. But because border security is now, considered racist in the Democratic Party, and they aid and abet the law breaking, the Biden is now doing nothing to stop what is going on down there. It is being run by cartels. They're not stopping the death, the sexual assaults, the suffering, the drug trafficking, the human trafficking. Well, yesterday, Senator Ted Cruz, he confronted Biden's Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas on this very issue. Let's take a look.
Has the crisis at our southern border made Americans less safe? Yes or no?
Senator, we are dedicated to the safety and
Has the crisis made Americans less safe? I don't want a discourse. It's a yes or no question.
Senator, we have a challenge of
You refuse to answer the question. How many children have been sexually assaulted by human traffickers under the Biden administration?
Senator, this is precisely why we instituted
I don't want a lecture. It's a question. How many children have been sexually assaulted by human traffickers under your administration?
Senator, this is exactly why on January 5th we announced the parole
do you know
program.
how many? Do you know how many children have been sexually assaulted?
This is why we
Okay, you're going to refuse to answer that question as well. Mr. Secretary, I want to say to you right now, your behavior is disgraceful, and the deaths, the children assaulted, the children raped, they are at your feet, and if you had integrity, you would resign. And I will tell you, the men and women of the Border Patrol, they've never had a political leader undermine them. They despise you, Mr. Secretary, because you're willing to let children be raped to follow political orders.
Wow. Powerful. Joining us. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.